Rawr.
I'm angry about cats.
When did we all get this dumb? Almost only counts in horseshoes, hand grenades, and nuclear warfare. I don't see any bodies, so it doesn't count.
I'm angry about cats.
I'm the chef. I want to hear one thing. Yes, chef. Come on, man. Use your brain. The Why I'm Angry podcast starts now. This is the Why I'm Angry podcast starting now. And we've got no photos because for some reason we changed the screen here. So give us just a second and we'll be on here live. And obviously this is the chef. I've got here with me in the studio, fresh off the presses, brand new host, Des the Best.
Period.
Lady D.
Hey, listeners.
All right, there we are. There you are. And here in the lovely Freestyle Man Cave studio. There we go. Oh, man. All right. If you're listening to this, I apologize for you listening to this because that was terrible. And hopefully Jay Boots will edit that out for us. All right, so we're here in the Freestyle Man Cave studio. This is the Why I'm Angry podcast, starting now. Headlines, just a whip around headlines. The debt ceiling discussion continues. I feel like we've been into this debt ceiling conversation forever. I feel like this is like the, looking for the new pope. We're waiting for the smoke to be blown, and we're waiting for, a decision, something to go on. There is, it's just the debt ceiling discussion continues. Wells Fargo settlement. Wells Fargo has agreed to a $1 billion settlement to its shareholders in a lawsuit from 2016 from unauthorized customer accounts scandal. If it's approved, the payout will be one of the top 20 class action lawsuits in history, settlements in history. There was a major jewelry heist from Dresden, Germany. 5 people stole 21 pieces of diamond encrusted jewelry from the 18th century. They were sentenced this week to 4 to 6 years in prison and after most of the loot was returned. And sports and entertainment, Cannes Film Festival kicks off in France this week. Actor Michael Douglas is receiving honors in that. The Tony Awards to be televised as originally planned, but will be unscripted. That's gonna be great. That's gonna be real great. That actually might be television to watch. In sports, Inter Milan topped AC Milan as a battle of the Milans to advance in the UEFA Champions League to the final for the first time in 13 years. Big thing for me. Soccer. Florian Balogun, 21, he opts to play for the U.S. over England and Nigeria. This is a big one. He's been scoring goals, so he's a forward. And the one thing that the U.S. really lacks is that center forward presence. So that's going to be a big one for years to come here, hopefully. The Spurs got number 1 pick in the lottery draft, so they are likely to take the 7'4" French teenager Victor Wembanyama. That was a good one. Then they say like he can dribble and shoot like Durant, and he can defend like Garnett. He's got this like closed down defense on top of being able to move and shoot the ball. In science and technology, butterflies originated in Central and West North America roughly 100 million years ago. And they lived primarily on bean plants. Archaeologists uncovered 2 well-preserved skeletons in Pompeii, believed to have died during the 1st century eruption in Mount Vesuvius. I saw on that one that they were so well preserved that they still had blood in them.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. Researchers discovered a new mechanism allowing DNA to repair itself. The process fixes errors arising from when an RNA building block is substituted for a DNA building block. So maybe this whole vaccine thing, maybe that can be fixed. I'm still not hopeful. But, you know.
Well, wasn't the vaccine like messing with the...
Yeah, it was adding an RNA strand to attack certain proteins in your body, which, you know, probably has a cause or effect.
You're right.
So, in business and markets, U.S. markets closed lower. S&P 500 was down 0.6. The Dow was down a full point, and the Nasdaq was down 0.2 on debt ceiling concerns. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman testifies before Senate Judiciary Subcommittee on Privacy and Technology. He calls for AI safety standards. Basically, he's calling for a safety standard across the board, not just on his company. Home Depot shares fall 2% after home improvement giant warns sales will likely fall this year for the first time since 2009. All of that talk about having the best economy in years is really making me feel good. Ukrainian air defenses. This is the politics and world affairs section. Ukrainian air defenses shoot down 18 missiles launched during Russian strikes. Attacks early yesterday. It included 6 of the Russian Kinzhal hypersonic missiles. Thank you, the United States. That's a good $1 billion well spent. New Mexico officials say Monday's shooting in the town of Farmington that left 3 dead and 6 injured appears to be random. That makes you feel a lot better.
Right.
Right? The state attorney general, Daniel Cameron, the Republican, wins Kentucky Republican gubernatorial primary, will face Governor Andy Beshear in the November elections. That one's kind of one of those statement deals. One of the first African American governor candidates in the state of Kentucky, also backed by Trump. Whether that means anything good or bad, or whether that even helps. So maybe despite his backing, but IRS agent alleges whistleblower violation, says he was removed from the Hunter Biden tax fraud probe after raising conflict of interest concerns. North Carolina, this one was one that was that I thought was kind of important. We may talk a little bit more about. North Carolina lawmakers override veto, and then they override the governor's veto to reapprove the 12-week abortion ban. So that will reinstate a ban on any abortions after 12 weeks. So, yeah. Do you see the article about the boy saves his younger sister by hitting a kidnapper with his slingshot?
No, but I think that's awesome.
Yeah, he pulled out a slingshot, hit the kidnapper like 3 or 4 times. The kidnapper drops his sister and runs off. Did not see that coming.
It's like Home Alone.
It's like it's like Home Alone and David and Goliath. He's like slinging his sling, that whole thing. Yeah. So
that's an interesting one.
yeah, it was a little fun fun deal. So going back, we'll go back to this last one first. North Carolina lawmaker overrides veto. We haven't talked. We talked about this pretty extensively back when they reversed Roe versus Wade. But what are your thoughts on the 12-week ban on abortions and things like that?
So I'm understanding this correctly. They are basically saying that if the woman is 12 weeks or more pregnant,
yeah,
she is or is not allowed.
She is no longer allowed to have an abortion after 12 weeks.
But then the heartbeat is heard at what is it, 6 weeks?
Yeah, the heartbeat is heard at 6 weeks, and but there are a few things that you don't know until about that 10 to 12, maybe even 13 week time frame. There are some like complications. So like some of the people I've talked to, that yes, there are some things in the abortion setup that maybe we should have a certain clause, or maybe if we're going to have abortions in at all,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe there are some considerations for certain medical defects.
Mm-hmm.
That you won't know that you wouldn't be able to know until like the 12th or 13th week. So that's kind of they're hoping that any defects that would highly affect the baby's growth or the ability to function normally,
Mm-hmm.
would be seen by that time.
So I think that, to me, that doesn't make much sense. I guess because I'm a person that's 100% against abortion. But to each his own, respectfully.
Right.
But in my mind, why waiting until it's 12 weeks or giving that woman that decision until then? In my mind, you're still doing it. I mean, you're still choosing to either end or keep a fetus life. So
right.
It's wrong either way. Like,
okay.
That's just my personal view.
So you're more of like you want the heartbeat bill where you hear the heartbeat and then that's the you can't have an abortion after that. Or you don't want to have any kind like you don't want Plan B pills or not to throw you right into the mix like right now today.
Yeah, no.
But,
so for myself personally, I just don't believe in it at all.
Okay.
Like Plan B, abortions, any of that. I feel like if God ordained you to be a mother, you should birth that child. You should not abort it. And if you are going to be sexually active, then that is one of the side effects or things that can happen. So that's something you should endure. Like if you go to Burger King and eat a freaking 2 Whopper meals, you can't think that you're going to lose weight and your blood pressure is going to be normal. It's going to skyrocket.
But if I drink the diet soda, I'm good. If
Are
I drink
you?
a diet soda with my 2 Whoppers and my fries,
if that makes you feel
because I
better.
got it, and make sure that it's an extra large. Make sure that it's king size. Because if it's not king size, that king size diet sodas for those 2 meals that I got, that won't counteract it enough. So it's got to be king size.
So why not just eat a salad if the goal is to try to lose weight? Because should we just be eating lighter and healthier?
Well, it's kind of like I always say, it's just everything in moderation.
True.
Even if you're like gonna splurge, you make sure that you kind of you kind of cover that into the next thing. Like maybe you cut back a little bit on the next one so that it kind of weights and balances and stuff like that. So. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the.
I mean that's
the
that's one of the side. I don't want to call it a side effects, but people who know, like, if you don't want to be a parent, you don't have sex.
Right. Well, and that's honestly that's what I would have said is that's what I've kind of said that we all have choices that we make.
True. Yeah.
And that your choice that you make, you should weigh the intended consequences of that choice before you ever like step into that choice.
Right.
It's kind of like we've said, like even in church, make sure that you know what you're going to say before you get to that situation,
right?
So that you can make sure that you're already steadfast in that setting,
right?
So that whole dare say no to drugs thing,
dare to be different.
You're right. Well, see, we were just say no to drugs because
right.
we were simple kids growing up that they didn't think we could take on the dare to be different. It was just say no to drugs. And so that when drugs came, we just said no.
Yeah.
we were simple kids.
I mean, in all actuality, more respect, 100% respect for the people who, may see it as a viewpoint of, well, what if the woman finds out that the fetus has some type of birth defect? Then does that apply? In all actuality, I just kind of feel like it's all the same. Like, you can love a child through a birth defect. There's things you can do. You can teach the child different ways to overcome that, whatever that disadvantage or disability may be.
And even this weekend, with it being Mother's Day, and I saw some Mother's Day messages where, there is no God doesn't make a mistake mm-hmm. by making a child. There are some miracle defects that we've seen that have have been lived through, that they're no longer hindering that child. They were able to grow through those defects, or not defects but hindrances, and be able to just be a functioning member of society.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, for me personally, I'm sure I'm probably about to make somebody upset, but hey, it's okay. For me personally, I just don't believe in abortion at all. I believe that if the Lord blessed you to be able to be pregnant with a child and carry that child, you should carry it to term and be an outstanding parent.
And really, we talked in previous podcasts about the actual like, if you want to get into like rape and incest and all of that, mm-hmm. and how much it's less than 1%, and that's giving it probably 0.25%, a good 0.25%. It's less than 1% that actually deal with those issues, mm-hmm. and are pregnant and stuff. The vast majority of people who do say they're having an abortion, it's because it doesn't fit in their lifestyle.
Right. Yeah.
And so that, if that's the case, there are a lot of people, we couldn't have a child for 14 years. So we had kind of started to, me personally, I had started looking into some of the alternative, which, as sad as this is, are super expensive. Mm-hmm. And so, not that you want to throw a bunch more kids in, but it's kind of a supply and demand type thing. If there were, if these million kids that we kill every year or so were out there, to we would have more population, and we wouldn't probably have this worker shortage, which is a terrible way to look at it. And also, people who really want to love and care for these kids would also have a chance to love and care for these kids.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. Debt ceiling, which is a weird segue, but debt ceiling. So they're talking about the debt ceiling. We quickly hit it yesterday. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy said it yesterday. It's possible for a deal to be reached by the weekend, for approval in Congress by June 1st. Honestly, and the big four, which is Kevin McCarthy, McConnell, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, and Chucky Schumer. they're hashing it out. They're the biggest, the best, and the brightest, and so they're taking good care of us. But really, we were talking before the podcast. The debt ceiling, it's just an arbitrary number. It's just a, like if I said if I ever hit 300 pounds, I need to work out, blah blah blah. Or if I hit 400 pounds, if I just continue, if we hit that number and we don't do something about it, we're just, going on. We didn't, that number meant nothing. So really, if we raise the debt ceiling, it doesn't mean anything.
It's like we're kind of like robbing Peter to pay Paul in a sense.
That's it.
It. I think it's crazy that, I just think it's crazy that we literally just keep pushing back something that we know is due. Like, just,
right.
I think that's silly. Like, it's still going to be due. It's still going to be money that still needs to be output. I mean, clearly our country and economy is suffering right now, all around. Like, I just wish they could just get it together. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what's really worse than the debt ceiling is that the Federal Reserve just bought our debt. So wrap that around your brain a little. Here's what it means, is that our federal government, who has a deficit between what the government makes and what the government pays out to its citizens, to whoever the rent on the properties, whatever it pays its bills. And instead of getting a credit card or getting a loan from someone, which we owe China a lot,
right?
We just said, yeah, we'll just print more money.
But it take money to print money, right?
Yes, but we're just going to print the money that we need, that it takes. We're just going to print it. We'll put it on a ledger somewhere. We'll write it down, and they can just.
They got Klarna. Can we sign up for like payments?
Right. We're just early payment plan. And when the taxes come in someday, or when the money comes in, we just pay it off.
Like, come on, we got to do better.
It's just it's that to me is probably that, and the fact that the oil dollar is that we're no longer the standard on oil is the scariest two things. Like if you're like, this is the end times, whether this is the end times or not, this is the end times for our supremacy of being a superpower. Scary. So yeah. Did you see this jewelry heist? It's kind of like almost like a Bond film.
I vaguely remember this.
Yeah. Basically, they finally got these guys convicted and sentenced. It was 5 guys, not the burger guys, but 5 guys. Basically busted into the Dresden, Germany museum, showed off its vulnerabilities, stole like 21 pieces of diamond encrusted jewelry from the 18th century. It was worth like millions of dollars. They got a white diamond sword with 700 diamonds on it.
Wow. Yeah.
Most of everything was returned, but they got they just got 4 to 6 years in prison.
Did they think they were like the Oceans?
I don't know, but I'm sure they get a movie deal after this.
A series.
I'm sure they get like they're gonna come out of prison and be like, they're gonna have a movie script written about them. Maybe they'll make their money back. I hear the movies are doing real well lately. So yeah, it's it seems like an Ocean's, movie.
Yeah.
It's like,
They've been watching too much TV.
Check this out.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
those actually are some beautiful pieces.
Oh,
too.
this is crazy.
Is that the sword?
That's 700 carats.
Wow.
Or 700 diamonds, 49 carats.
Yeah, and how many years did they go to prison?
4 to 6.
That's it.
I don't know what that means. 4 to 6. Like, is it 4 or is it 6, or do they have like a term like for good behavior?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Maybe after 4 years they are maybe eligible for.
Maybe they're eligible for parole or something. Yeah.
But I know their prisons over there are different than America. Like I'm sure that it's actual prison, whereas our prisons are just like. Yeah, you get to watch cable TV. We was watching the game last night. Did y'all see?
Right,
you know, they get microwaves. They get
that's
tablets.
That's kind of what we were talking about Russian prison.
Yeah,
like back when we were talking about that Brittany Griner deal.
Oh yeah,
that she was going to an actual work camp. She was not like Martha Stewart lived through prison.
Right.
Like she went to prison and everything. Like I'm sure she was not in prison going, oh, I gotta break these rocks, or oh, I gotta make license plates or something. She was in prison going like, oh, look at this winter flora. I can make this into a cornucopia.
Yeah, no, they actually have real prisons. We in America, we still spoil our prisoners here. So.
I mean, if prison was bad, people wouldn't want to go.
Oh, exactly.
Right?
Now that's the spot to be in. Heck, they got more drug problems than we do out here.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is like it's amazing. The museum is a beautiful.
Yeah, it looks very beautiful. From the
it's
pictures,
awesome.
Yeah.
But so yeah, they got 4 to 6 years in German prison. So, I mean, I don't figure that's quite as nice, but maybe it's super nice. I mean, maybe they treat their prisoners real nice.
You think they get commissary, like how we have commissary over here?
I've
heard good things though about some of the snacks that they have in prison.
In U.S. prison.
In U.S. prison, yeah.
Okay, all right.
I heard there's like this type of chip that everybody just loves.
Okay.
That you can only get it though in prison. You cannot find it at your hood corner store. None of that. You can only get it in prison.
So there is a new scam out.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about AI.
Yeah.
On the podcast pretty extensively. We had a whole special about it. And we talked about in that special about how what happens when AI starts to makes you do its bidding. Well, we've got everything new has a new twist to it. The internet, we started out with the emails from Nigeria,
mm-hmm.
and the prince of Nigeria sends you $14 million. You deposit the check, and then you send them back 14,000, whatever. Mm-hmm. And the check bounces or whatever. So anyhow, there's a father who warns others about AI voice scams.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen this now. There's about 3 different ones that I've seen of they will get on, record when you answer. You can answer with "Hi, this is blah blah blah," or "Hey," or any any kind of conversation. And if they can get you more than 3 seconds, within 3 to 10 seconds, they can actually record your cadence, your voice, how you speak, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get that recording, and then they can AI a call to your loved ones,
mm-hmm.
telling them that you've been kidnapped, or that you were. This one is his son was. It said that his grandson had gone on vacation to Mexico, and he had gotten in a spot of trouble, and he was needed $1,000. Grandson's sitting in America, wherever he's living at the moment,
mm-hmm.
and basically they cloned his voice, and he's in college in Dallas. They called him, and he was he's like, no, I'm sitting in Dallas, and his mom's like, crap, we were scammed for $1,000.
That to me is very scary.
Right?
Because all you're saying is that basically I just have to answer my phone.
Yep.
And this computer can record my voice and then draw up basically a monologue and call one of my family members and appear as me to get them to send the money.
Yep.
For my ransom. That's crazy.
What's even scarier is if you put your voice on your voicemail.
Yeah.
Why can't they take it from there?
See, yeah. I'm glad I don't have my voice on my voicemail.
Right, I don't either. my voicemail comes up. This is blah 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 blah.
Right.
And it's the computer voice from that. So yeah, no, that's definitely it's really a scary thing because, you know, what happens when you can't trust what's in front of you? Because they've even talked. I've seen a couple of the talking heads on other stations and things like that will have gotten into the point where it's like, you know, some of the conspiracy theorists are saying, what happens when China releases a deep fake of Trump, DeSantis, and Biden, and all you have to do on the app is hit the filter, and you're now Trump, Biden, or DeSantis, or whoever becomes, you know, you know, it could be JFK Jr. and whoever's running for president, and you go on there and you say, well, I believe in alien affairs or something like that, and then that goes out on Twitter as a real authenticated video of one of the presidential candidates.
And there's nothing that can be done to stop this at all.
Well, that's what we were talking about with the CEO of OpenAI is going before the subcommittee now to call for regulations. And it's not as much. He's not as much worried about his company, because I see on some of that OpenAI is that some of it he's already got a lot of filters and stuff like that on it. But I've applied for a beta test for it, and so it even tells me that there isn't a lot of filters on it, and so to be ready for it to be non-filtered. So what happens when, you know, those things are now, you know, now you don't trust anything that you see? Where do you get your news? Where do you get your where do you get the information that you would normally get? And if you're getting that information, is it actual information?
Right. Is it a valuable source?
Right.
Yeah, that's, I don't know.
Right. That's you know, one of those issues where you're like, is this really worth it? Do you just unplug AI? Can you unplug it now? Who's using AI? You know, I just
thought about something too. Like, what about when you know how like they say our phones are always listening to us?
Yeah.
Like, it makes you think, like, I need to check some settings to see what has access to my microphone.
What was that last? Yeah. What was that last update? Did it really get us? You know. Yeah. No, it's one of those deals where it's you know, how close are we really to, you know, Terminator 1 or 2, or maybe even we just skip 1 or 2 and go into Terminator 3. Imagine when the machines rise up. But yeah, so that's I have heard it. It's like the last 3 or 4 weeks I'm hearing 1 or 2 more stories about that. So and honestly, it happened the same way every time. You know, they get them excited. You know, they hear the actual voice of the person. The one lady, her daughter, and one was her daughter and one was her granddaughter, were, you know, came on Proof of Life, was kidnapped, and, you know, paid some ransom money, and then, you know, called daughter, granddaughter, and they were at home sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah, I saw a lady too on TikTok. This is probably like maybe a couple weeks ago. Maybe it was last month sometime. She was saying that her sister, someone had called her and said that her sister was being held hostage, and it appeared like the phone call was like from her sister's telephone number, and it sounded like they had her voice and everything, and she ended up calling her sister, and she was like, "No, I'm sitting here at home doing laundry." Like, it's beyond crazy. That was scary. I can only imagine.
So, uplifting story. Hollywood topless dancers to become the only unionized strippers in the U.S.
Stop.
They say, "We demand to be treated with basic dignity and respect."
Do you now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Basic, but not advanced.
Right?
Because we're just topless dancers. We're not fully nude.
How do you demand that someone treats you with basic dignity and respect when you're not giving them a reason to?
I mean, they're classy. They're the classy ones because they don't take off. They're just topless dancers.
Oh, so they're just showing the top part of their body.
Everybody's got nipples.
Good one.
Free the nipples. Yeah, no, this is
I think this is interesting. So hilarious. Union.
Yeah, union.
What are y'all gonna be fighting for?
They're fighting for cleaner stripper poles. They're gonna fight for like a 6-inch midriff instead of total topless. Maybe just, you know, a partial, you know, showing or something like that. You know, it's just, you know, better working conditions. Maybe it could be less dimly lit so that maybe they could see a little bit better, and maybe there wasn't so much chance of falling off the stage.
They want better LED lights.
They maybe they want to reduce the heel from 6 inches to 4. Or from 8 inches to 6. I don't know. Maybe they need a retirement program. I mean, it does seem
how much. I'm curious though. How much are the union dues going to be? See, you gotta think about that.
It says that the strippers will join the Actors Equality or Equity Association, a union of more than 51,000 actors and stage managers. So, you know, they're going to join their people.
Imagine them going to all the strip clubs in the U.S. trying to get people to sign up. Here, girls, where are your pins?
Where?
How are they going to put it on?
Where would I put this pin?
We got to fight together.
Band together.
I'm curious to know how many members are going to be in this organization. Just curious.
Man, 15 strippers signed a petition in March to unionize, demanding to be treated with basic dignity and respect.
They should just form the club.
It was 15.
That's not enough. You need a little bit more.
I mean, maybe it was a small group.
Sounds like it.
So yeah, they've joined.
More power to the strippers. Okay, I've never been to a strip club. I'm not interested in going to one, but more power to y'all. Y'all do what y'all do. Be safe out there.
Yeah, they want to shine a light on hypocrisy where our society holds actors playing strippers and sex workers on stage and giving them the prestige and protection and the union contracts, but we haven't stepped up for sex workers and strippers. This is a quote from Velveeta.
Who is Velveeta? Like the cheese people?
I think this woman goes by...
Lord, she got to change her name.
Yeah, a stripper with the stage name is Velveeta told that they want to raise the profile on sex workers as well.
I mean, but in all actuality, though, some of these shows like that they have, like I know Stars has a show called P Valley where it's basically based upon strippers in the strip club.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these shows actually do outsource to real strippers who are real dancers in real life. So it sounds like to me somebody maybe just a little butthurt that they didn't get the casting call back.
Right. I mean, it
because they do have real strippers on some of
Right.
these shows on set.
I mean, if you're gonna get extras, you might as well get extras that actually can
do it for a living. Yeah, they can do the
do
stunts
it.
and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, gone are the days of the 80s where you just have some girl on stage just standing there in the background.
Yeah.
Now you actually have,
They do acrobatics
Yeah.
and all of that.
I mean,
They're talented. Don't
they
get me wrong.
they
Some
are.
of them
I like
are.
it. It is like beyond a workout, but
Yeah.
it's yeah,
I admire the strength that they have in all actuality, but it's just not for me.
it's just kind of ill placed.
Yeah,
Strengths and talents.
It's not. I know my.
Yeah.
I know my battles. That ain't it. That's not one of them.
Yeah, no Magic Mike for me soon, anytime soon. So.
I'm good.
So, back to something we haven't talked a ton about, but I know that I've talked in other forums about. Just I saw a quick blip on it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a rising number of Americans are switching religions. So the reasons people gave, just quick off the top, for changing their religious affiliations.
Uh-huh.
And most of them are going from the religious affiliation to the non-religious affiliated,
Mm-hmm.
or some of them are going from a traditional religious affiliation to a non-denomination, or getting away from that.
Yeah.
Is that they stopped believing in the religion's teachings.
Interesting.
There's this one I think is one that I think we've given it a lot of credit. I don't know that it's gotten it should be like a 30%, but maybe that's what they're seeing. I mean, they only really surveyed 6,620 adults, to be perfectly honest. But
That's not a lot of people.
that's not a ton of people. It's
Yeah.
not even creeping up on 1%. There's a couple zeros in front of the one
Right.
for that, but negative religious teachings about treatment of LGBTQ plus whatever ABC
About the treatment.
people. Yeah, it's the religious teachings about or treatment. Sorry,
Oh, okay.
of LGBT Q plus people. The family was never that religious growing up, so
Mhm.
I don't feel like that one. Maybe that they're switching to religion. I don't know, because that doesn't sound like you're religious anyway. So you may not be switching off of religion.
Yeah.
You might just be, whatever. Scandals involving leaders in former religion.
Well.
So I mean that honestly is the one reason where it's maybe warranted.
Right.
Where you're like, okay, I've had some hurt, some pain, and honestly, just not to get too religious on this, or to get too deep in it, but you shouldn't be following the religious leader anyway. You should be
Right.
following Jesus.
Right.
Following the Lord.
Because the person is still a human. They're gonna have faults.
We
Yeah.
all, even David was a murderer and an adulteress, or adulterer. So I mean, we all have issues, no matter what. Jesus was the only one that was perfect.
Amen.
A traumatic personal event. So, normally that at one point in society, a traumatic personal event would have pushed you more towards, an accepting church.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that, church in general has, in some instances has kind of fallen, has dropped the ball on that,
Mm-hmm.
being accepting and
Right.
And then your church or your congregation became too political. That was down at 17%, but
well, you know, there are some people who do say there's a saying that politics don't belong in the pulpit. So
true. But at this point in what you're seeing in the country, if you're seeing a downfall in your country, or if you're seeing a place where, you know, your freedoms are no longer there, the societal norms have become, you know, almost inherently evil, and some things like that, where you don't maybe have, you know, like the I'm trying to say this delicately without going too far into it, but, you know, just honestly, where you're seeing the depravity in human society,
right,
then your leader, your pastor would be a derelict if he didn't at least address it, right, and warn you, yeah, of pitfalls and shortcomings.
I agree. Yeah.
So in that, you know, I think that we can kind of, you know, there are some issues where maybe you don't have to, like, you know, we're not trying to tell you who to vote for or things like that, but at the same time, you know, we're trying to give you that, you know, warning of, or that at least
be on the lookout.
Yeah, be on the lookout for, right, for what's going on, or what, right, we're seeing. I mean, because even in the Bible, if you look at, you know, Revelations and stuff like that, and some of those places where it says, you know, to give Caesar his due, and mm-hmm, some things like that, where it's just, you know, Jesus was not political. He was, you know, he was kind of killed by the politics. Mm-hmm. And so I can see where, yeah, we need to walk that fine line of, you know, we're not trying to get in politics to, you know, run things or be political or be, you know, or create a law situation.
Right.
We're in it to make sure that moral values are upheld. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I think these are interesting reasons that I think it's overall interesting that people are giving to the reason why they're leaving their religion or their tradition, whatever it is that they believe, their values, whatever the case may be. I think one that I think that sticks out that really shouldn't be shocking is the scandals involving the leaders in formal religion. It's like, y'all know, church have mess.
Right.
Like, it's no secret. You can literally, we all know some church or some member that did something at, I don't know, one of the missionary Baptists, whatever, or wherever, and it's talk of the town. Did you hear what Sister Shirley did? You know?
Right. So, I mean, it is no better, you know, people are no better in church than they are. I mean, we're all people.
Right.
We all have that, you know. So yeah, no, you're gonna hear all of the little, and unfortunately, in that there is scandals involving former leaders or whatever, is that we then put them on such a high pedestal because, you know, we felt like they were supposed to be better than us,
right?
And really, honestly, they should be, but the issue is that we, you know, 100% are still all people.
Yep, we are 100% still human. So
still human.
We have errors. We have flaws. We make mistakes.
Until we become AI, we are still human. until the robots take over.
And I will say, with the 56% that said they stopped believing.
Yeah, just stopped believing
in the religion's teachings. That's quite interesting, because I think about, like, what if a person who grew up, I don't know, being Muslim all their life, and then now in today's society most people say you're only the religion that you are because of your parents, or because you really don't understand what it is that you agree or what you believe in. So it's just interesting that most of them are leaving because they don't believe it anymore, or they were only believing it because they were forced to believe it based upon their growing up.
Right, and I think that's kind of what we try to do with right now, right here, is that, you know, we're trying to get you to, you know, formulate your own opinions.
Right.
And so when you formulate your own opinion, then you're much stronger in it than if you're just taking the talking points from blah 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 and whoever.
Right.
You know, if it's your dad's opinion, then you're not going to be as strong in it. If someone says, well, I think your opinion's wrong because of blah blah blah, they start giving you some tips and tricks and pointers and facts, or pseudo facts, then, you know, we think, oh, well, if that's the fact, then, you know, maybe I should change, and we haven't done any homework on it or anything like that. You know, if we don't know the actual facts, then anything can be facts.
It's true.
So, yeah. So it was just an interesting little quick article that I had seen. You know, 50% is a jump from 2001 when it was just 16%. You know, so it is quite a big thing. It says about 1 in 4 Protestants of color, 28% white evangelical Protestants, which is 25%, and Hispanic Protestants, 24%, say they previously practiced or followed another religion or religious traditions. So the survey found that the Catholic Church had lost the highest percentage of followers. It was 39% to the group without religious affiliations. So basically, they just completely no longer were affiliated with any church. So, which is kind of, you know, is kind of a sad thing, but it's kind of what we're seeing in the country. You know, it's kind of why we're talking about, you know, whether pastors should be political or should be involved in, you know, in that, because at the same time we're seeing just a started depravity in what we actually see in our country. You know, it's sad that we get this great new kind of invention of AI, and the first thing we think of is how bad it can be. You know, what can it do to us?
Right.
You know, as you know, so what issues are we going to have in the future with it? So I think that's a telling state of where we're going to be. So, non-evangelical Protestants were the second most losers. Just throwing that out. If you're non-evangelical and Protestant, you know, I actually really don't, I don't know what that means. I think that's more the fact that the evangelical Protestants are evangelistically inclined, where more like Methodists and those guys are the non-evangelical Protestants, which is sad, because that's kind of where my basis is in Methodist and Church of Christ and that missionary alliances. So yeah. So we kind of end each podcast with some fun events from Florida. So you said you had a little article or case that you were following that kind of wrapped up in the last couple days here from the Florida region. We'll just kind of steal it. Yeah.
So back in 2018, there was a rapper by the name of XXXTentacion who was unfortunately murdered outside of a dealership. He was going to, I believe, to purchase some type of sports bike, and 4 men basically conspired to run up on him and rob him, and end up killing him. 3 of the 4 men, they took, I think he had about $50,000 on him at the time. So they took the money, of course, and they were not, of course, there is no smart criminal. They went then showboated the money, posting it on Snapchat and all that or whatever. Not smart people, right?
I mean, these guys that just stole all those diamonds, they could be, I mean, they could be considered smart criminals, but.
So anyway, they end up catching the four guys who were responsible for this man's death. And 3 of the 4 were convicted to life in prison. But the number 4 man, his name is Robert Allen. He actually turned on his co-defendants and became a snitch, is what we call it in modern day. So
took a plea deal.
He took a plea deal. So imagine being a snitch and only having to serve 2 years out of a 7-year sentence with credit for 5 years already served. And you're going to be on probation for 20 years. And he's only 27.
So he'll be 47 when he gets off of probation.
And the kicker about this entire story, I mean, of course, it's unfortunate that a young man lost his life. But the money that they stole from XXXTentacion, Robert Allen got the shortest of the cut. So
he was the lookout guy.
He got the shortest amount of payment from all of them, and I'm like, wow, he literally turned into a snitch, got less time.
That's why he turned into a snitch. That's a rule. If you're going to get, you need to give all of your friends more money than you get, so that you can become the snitch, or so that they don't snitch on you because you gave them so much.
So yeah, his co-defendants got 2 life sentences.
Ooh.
And he got
7 years.
7 years with credit of 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That dude got off easy.
Very easy.
Like. So I mean, was there like a gang affiliation? Was there cat? Like, what were they going to do with the money?
They had. Well, I watched a little bit of the trial.
Was there like a plan for him, or was it just like they came up on this dude and just like?
Well, they had been conspiring. I guess like days prior and maybe like the day before to just go out and rob people. What they originally started doing was getting on like the Turo app, which is the app you can like rent people's cars from on a low.
Right.
And they rented this woman's Dodge, I think it's Durango or something like that, or Journey, one of the two. It's an SUV. And they were just going out to rob people.
Yeah.
So
they're just up to no good.
Up to no good, and they literally end up just, ironically, I know,
starting trouble in Tenacian's neighborhood.
Yes, he went to go buy. He literally left there to go get the money from the bank, went back, and ended up losing his life right there in the parking lot.
Fight.
It's sad. It's really sad because I mean,
it is,
and not to mention like this, XXXTentacion. He was a father. He had a child. Like,
right, and he just like
sad.
He's just out going to get a bike.
Yeah,
and
not expecting to lose his life.
Right, there was no what's said is just more of a random act of violence type thing where it's just like these guys were just doing something stupid. And this guy got caught up in it. It's
just like, and it's like, y'all, out of all the things you all could do with your life, why do you want to go take the life of somebody who still had a promising future? Right.
Well, So yeah, that's just. I mean, it's pretty crazy, especially that the guy gave up his buddies to get. I mean, he
gave up his buddies. Yeah.
Man, dude was smart. I mean, got.
He said, "Y'all only gonna pay me $5,000 and y'all walk away.
You guys get $50,000. I'm gonna walk away with $5,000. I'm gonna
show you.
I got you. I got you.
But in his defense, I mean, I hope that he's able to have some sort of peace where he doesn't have to look over his shoulder every time he decides to leave his house.
I mean,
but you just never know.
At the same point, he was part of a guy's murder.
True.
You know, so
you never
he
know.
deserves kind of what he gets. You know, not to be mean about it or whatever.
Right.
But, you know, repent and whatever. But at the same time, you know, if you're unrepentant in it, you know, just, you know, this was what you got. This is what you get.
Yeah.
Type thing. So, yeah, that's crazy.
Yes.
It's also crazy how long it takes. Like, we talked about that in the last podcast, how long it takes for people to get, you know, to go through their trial. Like, this, like, obviously, you know, you want it to go, like, all the facts to come in and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty sure it was fairly, like, straightforward in the trial and everything that, you know, these guys committed a crime, how bad the crime was, you know, for it to take, it was like, what was it, 4 years, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, with that, like, you know, why drag that out for the family for 4 years?
I think a lot of it has to do with the investigation side of it. Because you get, you know, as a prosecutor, you really only get one shot to get it right.
Right.
So
I just, you know, I thought they had like some like security camera footage.
They did,
things.
yeah. Oh yeah, no, there was no way that they were going to be able to deny that at all.
Yeah. So, you know, it seems like with that kind of thing, you know, you convict them and then figure out how bad it, you know, obviously that takes some time. But I mean, you can get a lot done in less than 4 years.
True, you can, and also you also don't know as far as like especially like with COVID and stuff.
True.
How backed up before COVID, how backed up the docket was for some of the courts.
It's sad. We even talked last week about there's this senator that George Santos, and like he's been in office for 5 months, and they already got him up on charges. They've got him going to court and everything. It's like, this is 5 months. We got guys like these guys that have been in court for 4 years, you know, on charges and stuff. You know, it's.
It definitely, you know. I agree. I definitely think it takes way too long to convict people in this country. Way too long.
I think we spend a lot of resources that could be used in a better fashion.
Yeah.
Like maybe. And this is something that I've talked about a lot or extensively, is that I feel like our penitentiary system is not built to reform people as much as it's just built to keep people away from the other people.
Yeah, that's basically
it. And so in that, you're not trying to create, and I think we do a disservice to people, we're not trying to create better, you know, help them become better. Which there are people who never going to be reformed.
Right.
They just don't want to be. They don't care. They're unrepentant, and then those people should there should be a special. That's what jails are for. Mm-hmm. But people who are repentant, want to reform. Maybe it was an issue that, you know, this one life moment changed them forever. You know, that's why it's hard with, you know, vehicular homicide. You know, you make one bad life decision and they put you away for 26 years. And you, even if it wasn't like something that you plan, you know, it was an accident.
Right.
And they can still, you know, charge you with that, and you're out. You're just, and instead of reforming you, they just send you to jail. Like, I feel like we've gotten lazy. Like, we used to have different kinds of punishment, you know, like we talked about work camps and stuff like that, or where, you know, you could go into halfway houses and things of that nature. And I don't feel like we employ them as well as we used to.
Yeah.
I feel like we just kind of blanket like, oh, how many years you getting? And that's where we go. And then it's up to It's up to the inmate to make themselves a better person, which is which to a point it should be, because you can't, you can't make a person better. They have to try to walk it out themselves. But at the same time, we just we don't give them all the opportunities available,
right?
Sometimes. So, all right, on to a Florida man living underwater won't resurface even after breaking the record.
How in the world did this man manage to be Aquaman? I'm just curious.
So, a university professor broke the record for the longest time living underwater without depressurization this week at Florida Keys Lodge for scuba divers. Basically, he has set in this lodge. He's Joseph Deturi's 74th day residing in Jules Undersea Lodge, situated at the bottom of a 30-foot deep lagoon. So he's only 30 feet down. I mean, like, his watch still works. It's a 10-meter watch. Most of the watches say they are good for waterproof for 10 meters.
So, hold on. Is he actually in water? Or he's like in something encompassing that's in water? Like he's submerged like in a submarine?
So, I think he is under water, but he's not in water. Like he's in a submerged,
like he's in a habitat.
Wasn't much different than his previous days where since he submerged. He's basically just sitting in a submerged habitat.
Interesting. So he's like Sandy off of SpongeBob.
Yeah, unfortunately, like for him, the submarine doesn't have like it, or the submerged lodge doesn't have high tech gear like a submarine. It doesn't have technology like a submarine. It basically it is the pressure that it is, and that's what makes it unpressurized. That's how he gets the world record. It's because there is no like depressurization like a submarine would have or anything like that. So that's what makes it an actual like. Yeah, he's just sitting in there like like you said, Sandy on SpongeBob.
Huh.
Just no depressurization. He just sitting in there in an air bubble, breathing his own air bubble. I'm not sure that like it doesn't say that they have. It just he's been using resistance bands for workouts and doing push-ups. He eats a lot of salmon and eggs, so I'm sure it smells good in there.
Interesting diet.
Yeah.
A lot of protein.
Yep. So, yeah. He beat the previous record of 73 days, 2 hours, and 34 minutes that was set by two Tennessee professors, Bruce Cantrell and Jessica Fain. They then got a divorce and never saw each other together again. I'm
That's
just
sad.
joking.
I was like, wow, they really put that in.
No, but that would have been. But you think about it: 73 days in a tiny bubble, with there's no way they were friends after that.
Yeah, you talk about somebody getting on your nerves,
right?
That's true love right there. We spent 73 days underwater and couldn't do anything about it.
That's right. I somehow survived spending a year on the road, staying in hotels with my wife. So,
hey,
somehow we stayed together.
But see, I had the option to walk out the room. He would have to swim.
That's true. That's true. I had the ability to go to the vending machine if I wanted.
Right?
Maybe get some ice.
Yeah, get some fresh air.
Go sit in the SUV, whatever the vehicle.
I couldn't do it. 73 days.
73 days.
That's a true testament of love right there.
It's a lot.
Y'all love each other.
Yeah, no, I don't know if they were even married or together at all. They were just Tennessee professors. They needed a vacation, so they
went underwater.
I guess, I don't know. But he said, the record is a small bump. I really appreciate it, said Deturi, a University of South Florida educator who holds a doctorate in biomedical engineering and is retired from the U.S. Naval officer. Is a retired U.S. Naval officer. He says, I'm honored to have it, but we still have more science to do.
Well,
he's probably trying to figure out whether his deodorant is strong enough.
I just imagine like the pressure on his ears and his head. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, you know how you go underwater?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. I'm just curious
Like you
how that was.
dive too fast down, you're like your ears pop and
Yeah.
your nose goes.
So I'm curious.
All your sinuses try to implode. Yeah.
How he was like overall. Like, did he get sick? Did he ever catch a cold?
Yeah,
Where did he take
I
a
don't
poop at? I don't know things. I'm just curious.
Those are the questions.
I need answer.
Those are the questions. Yeah, it's just it doesn't have any answers of where he took a poop at.
Huh.
I'm sorry.
See, I should be
It
a
just
journalist.
says-
That's a good question.
It just says where he worked out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he watch TV?
No, there's no TV. There's no there's no technology down there. It says, it's just literally like no depressurization. He just can work out, and that's it.
I wonder if he did any puzzles.
I don't know. Maybe he took a couple things down.
Yeah.
You know, it says he's working. It's for science. So
Interesting.
yeah. It says there's one thing he really misses. The thing that I really miss the most about being on the surface is literally the sun.
We do need the sun.
Yeah, he says the sun has been a major factor in his life, and he usually goes to the gym at 5, and then I come out and watch the sunrise.
I'm curious to know what was like the temperature. Like, was it something he could control, or was it cold? Because based upon the environment.
It looks like it's under it's in Key Largo, so it should be warm water.
Okay.
So I'm sure he can't he's not controlling the temperature other than the water around the.
Right. I didn't know if it
lodge,
was like he
but-
had to bundle up like it's wintertime, put this, with cozy socks on, or.
Yeah.
Huh.
It says he does his daily push-ups and then takes an hour-long nap.
Interesting.
Well, what have you learned today?
We still in debt, and we just keep pushing it back.
We just gonna write that. We just gonna
Keep on pushing it back. Can I set a payment plan?
Print that money. We gonna push that debt limit up. We're just gonna get fatter. That's it.
We're just gonna keep pushing
We
it back, and it's
we're
still
just
gonna be
keep
due.
Pushing it back.
At least pay $1 a day for just 39 cents a day.
Just 39 cents a day.
You can get yourself out of debt.
You can sponsor a Biden debt ceiling reduction.
You know that the infomercials are on the way.
Right. We can get some Sarah McLachlan. In the eyes of
Showing all the money.
all the sad politicians in Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to do something about that. Well, not we, but they need to do something about that.
Yeah, no, I mean that's honestly that's what we've been doing is just we got to do something about that. We've got to get out. We've got to say, we've got to tell our politicians this isn't right. Write your politician. I get an email from Warren Davidson every month or so about what he's been doing. It's time for the emails to go back to the politicians about what we want them to be doing.
Yeah.
So really, that's a big thing that I think we've lost is that we go and vote for these people, but then we don't
Follow through.
We don't hold them accountable.
Yeah.
We don't pay attention to what they're doing half the time, and then then we complain about it, but then when it comes time to vote again, we're like, click.
Yep.
Hit the button. So, on that very, very sad note, I think the Why I'm Angry podcast ends now. Remember to follow, like, and share the Why I'm Angry podcast across all social media platforms and anywhere you get your podcast. The Why I'm Angry podcast ends now.